All day. Um, this one's fun. This one's the big one. This is the one that it all kind of comes together for me. And it's this. Do you understand the placement of all the relationships in your life? The best way that I can depict this is through the thought of relationships like a tree. There are certain relationships that are going to establish the foundation of everything that comes out of you if you're that tree. Those are the roots. They're going to dig deep. They're going to be, most of it is underground. Most people don't even see it. But those main roots are the ones that give the majority of the plan of nutrients for what shows up out top of the ground in how the tree is going to be represented. There's going to be a bunch of relationships that they're actually going to be like branches. They are really, really solid. Maybe not quite as solid as and established as what you had with your root system, but those relationships will help you weather the test of time above ground. Those relationships are actually going to be, maybe we could call that the core, the nucleus that helps you as you are progressing to get higher and higher. I always think it's interesting that in nature, human beings are one of the only pieces of nature that their number one objective is to not always be their best. Every other thing, plants, they grow to be as big as they possibly can, as good as they possibly can. Animals are trying to grow to as big as they can everything is trying to be the best that it can be based on its order in nature. But humans have the choice to pull back and maybe not. And so the branches, as they get bigger, are able to support other branches, right? And so in relationship, you'll have smaller branches. They might be there for a time, right? As they're being formed, they could easily break off, they could be brittle, but the goal is that as those relationships form, they will also begin to be a part of this solidified component that helps you reach to higher levels. And then you have the leaves. Now, the interesting thing about the leaves is that the leaves might only be there for a short period of time. The leaves might be seasonal. The leaves might have to rebud and show up in the spring, like many of our trees have. But during the winter, they're non-existent. You don't even see them. You don't know that they're there. And so if you're not careful, you think that they have completely died off, but they just go through a dormancy, and then the next season they come back and they're vibrant again, and you get to see them again. And so when you're thinking about how you navigate through life, I'm going to ask you, do you know the appropriate places to describe the relationships that you have? Because I can tell you that there's going to be times where there's somebody who is a leaf, and when that leaf breaks off, disappears, flies away, you are devastated like a root, like as though a root got cut out. And then there's also times when you may realize that you have multiple branches that are big and established, but you start to realize that this one branch is actually robbing the tree of your growth by taking all the nutrients. And so then you have to have somebody who can help you identify that and make that difficult decision that even though this is a really well established branch, I have to prune it, I have to cut it because the entirety of the rest of the tree's health needs those nutrients to help us grow higher and further. Those cuts can be hard, those cuts can be difficult, those cuts can leave scars, but there will still be a memory of that branch's existence no matter how big you get. And then you also have to understand that if the greatest of all devastations happens and that tree, your tree gets completely cut down, the thing that will still remain is going to be those roots. And the other thing that will be able to be remaining is that if the tree gets cut down, you'll be able to see all the rings of your growth, all the years represented in there. But from the outside, maybe nobody has any idea just how much time has been utilized, because maybe when they look at your tree, it's not this giant sequoia that is that is just bigger than life. Maybe it just seems like it's this smaller tree, but then once they cut into it and they see hundreds of circles and they start to realize how long and how much you've gone through, it changes the entire story. But you still have that evidence of the growth. So learn to appreciate the relationships that you have. Learn to understand the correct placement of each of those relationships. Are they a leaf? Are they a small branch? Are they a branch that establishes how big and how wide your tree can be? Are they the roots? And understand that the goal is to grow to your highest potential. Be as big and as tall as you possibly can. But understand that periodically you might have to prune some pieces for the overall health of continuing to have that goal. I hope that these lessons over the last 12 days have been things that are helping you grow, things that are helping you appreciate who's attached to you, how they're attached to you, and what you're trying to do. Thank you. Thank you for your time, for your attention. In a world where it's hard to get each other's attention, I appreciate that you've actually listened to me. And thank you for letting me share the last 12 months with you. Have a great day.